We ain't got next. We got now. We ain't coming no more.
We trained all off-season for this moment.
It's go time, baby.
We back. This place is gonna rock. 60 minutes or as long as it takes. You leave it on the field.
They're just going to make the conference even stronger.
We're going to see a lot of unexpected things happen.
He's walking into the gold standard of college football.
Hell yeah.
One of the great traditions in college football. Legacy is being built in these games.
Oh, wow. What a highlight. These are the moments that we wish for. Y'all know what time it is.
I mean, it's August 1st. Stanford Steve, for some reason I still haven't been informed of, is here in Bristol. So we're going to talk college football.
Yes.
Public play, some of the most popular bets made by the public, you, the people. We're going to dissect them and work them through. Florida State, we're going to begin with them. 12-0 last season. Only 9 starters coming back, but Mike Norvell, the head coach, has proven to be one of the best in the business at working the transfer portal. What do you think of the Seminoles this year?
I look at that as a high number.
Yeah.
You bring in DJU as the quarterback. In a very quarterback-friendly system at Oregon State, he still only completed 61% of his passes. He has to be better than that. And the problem I have is none of his receivers are proven. I think the best returning guy had 10 catches. You look at the schedule, there's some daunting games. I think that, we're going to see what they have week 0 over in Dublin. But you look at an at Notre Dame, an at Miami, who I really like this year. That Florida game, Clemson's on there. When I look at it in its totality, I just don't try. I don't know. It's a big question mark to me. And with that number and with all the top dogs in the ACC on their schedule, I go under.
I was a big Uiagalelei fan. I thought it would work at Clemson. It didn't. It's like, all right, let's try the kid out at Oregon State. It doesn't necessarily work there. And now why would I believe it's going to work at Florida State? They could, operative word could, be favored in 11 of 12 this year. But there's a lot of tight lines. The SMU game, the Clemson-Miami games, those are all going to be really quick lines, close lines.
And Norvell's a top 3 play caller in the sport. I just wonder how fast he can get this thing going with DJU. He's got to be more precise with his throwing.
All right, 12 starters back for a Notre Dame squad that went 9-3 in the regular season last year. Former standout quarterback from Duke, Riley Leonard, transferring in to replace Sam Hartman. Win totals lofty, 10.5 for the Irish. That means they can lose only one game in order for us to cover the over. Which direction?
I go under. I think that first game at A&M is enormous. It's crazy. Riley Leonard was the quarterback at Duke. Mike Elko was the coach at Duke. He's at A&M. There's plenty of transfers involved in this game. But this is the difference in Notre Dame now. You think of Notre Dame, it's offensive line and tight ends. A lot of new guys that not a lot of experience on that offensive line. That's a tough place to go play in week 1, and you could really be up against it if you go and lose there week 1. Their defense is going to be filthy. They got great talent on the defensive line. I love the moves in the secondary. I think Morrison is the best corner in the country. I don't think he gets credit enough. They get Jordan Clark over from Arizona State in that secondary. They're going to rely on their defense. Riley Leonard, in order to go over, he's got to be way better accuracy. He's more of a runner, had that brutal injury against Notre Dame last year. Like, the circles in this team in that game week 1 are incredible. I think they go 10-2 and make the playoff.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, top 4 spots get buys, but those are the P4 conference winners. The best they can do is 5th, even if they go undefeated.
But you're probably going to play the non-AQ team,
which would get you a nice spot there. 86% of the tickets, not much of a surprise considering how public Notre Dame has been and how many fans they have. They should be favored in every game they play. When you look at the road schedule, it sets up very nicely for them. This year in the Big 12, win total 5.5. Brutal non-conference schedule that Coach Prime has mentioned more than once due to its difficulty. Do you see this program as overvalued? That's where I am, because everyone seems to love Buffalo, and or the Buffalo, 78% of the tickets on the over as well.
Well, the attention they get is not going to be able to equate with numbers you see here. But when you look at the roster, okay, 72 guys he brought in, fresh faces last year to start the 23 season. 45 of those guys are already gone. The whole new offensive line from last year is a whole new offensive line this year. Not one guy is back, but you still have number 2 at quarterback. You still have Travis Hunter on that defense. I think the Big 12 is the most fascinating conference because of how competitive it is. When you look at all these games, it's a toss-up in almost every game.
Yeah.
They are going to have superior skill talent. And the big thing for me is now they know who the guy is going to be calling plays. I'm a Pat Shurmur guy. He wasn't a great head coach in the NFL, but he knows what he's doing, especially with offense and coaching quarterbacks. I lean over. I go with the public here. I think they get 6 wins, and go to a bowl game.
I got him favored in 4, toss-ups in 2, so you're not going to be able to miss on any of the obvious ones unless you're going to put a big upset in there. Now, you and I both fans of Florida head coach Billy Napier,
yes,
where he was before this. He's a culture guy. He needs time, but the seat's starting to heat up. Schedule makers, not a fan of Billy Napier and the Gators. They might have the toughest schedule in the history of college football this season. 15 starters are back from last year's 5-7 squad. They're facing a win total of just 4.5. 76% of the tickets on the over 4.5. Can Napier get the 5 considering who he's going to be playing?
Got to go 4-0.
Open the season?
And there's another take I have on Miami we could talk about later down the road. I think Miami's going to lose week 1 and go to the playoff. I think they can win the ACC. But with Florida, look at those first 4. That's, or first 5. You got the bye week. That's what in between UCF and Mississippi State. Listen, all anyone is talking about is the schedule. I get it. It's daunting. That Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss at Florida State. Very daunting. But there's plenty of work to do before that. And when you look at the team, look at what they have. He's done a great job. It's not as great as people want it because he's in the SEC, but he's in the top 15 recruiting his first 2 classes. He's got the top quarterback on the roster, the top defensive lineman, and he also has a 4-star running back that everybody loves going there. Graham Mertz was awesome last year.
Yeah.
20 touchdowns, 3 picks. I want this to go over more than anything in the season because I think the narrative about the schedule is just lazy. And for a guy that is on the hot seat and knows he could be doing better, last year they regressed. I think they progressed this year. They're going to be a very good team, but that could be 7-5.
Yeah.
With the schedule that it is. I think I go over here with the Gators.
That first game against Miami that you just saw on the schedule, very telling what's going on with the point spread there. Gators are hosting the Hurricanes. Every time that number has gotten a Florida +3, it gets whacked and comes right back down. It lets you know where the sharp minds are at. If you can get the Gators at home +3, that's the sharp price. That brings us to Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks, who jumped to the Big Ten this season. Expectations sky high. Win total of 10.5 for Heisman Trophy favorite quarterback Dylan Gabriel. He transfers in from Oklahoma. Where are we at on Oregon here on August 1st? 66% of the tickets seem to like this over.
Not a lot of wiggle room, right?
No.
10.5. You got Ohio State. Got Ohio State coming in. You got to go to Michigan. I get it. Michigan doesn't have the offense they did. They're still going to have that defense. They should start off red hot, undefeated when Ohio State comes in. The thing with Oregon and Ohio State is it's not this new team coming in a new conference. They just played 2 years ago, and Oregon went there and won. Kept C.J. Stroud from an undefeated season before he lost to Michigan. Another team, I think they go 10-2 and make the playoff. I would not take the over in season win totals. I'd still look at to win the Big Ten, to make the playoff. There's a lot of, that's the most steamed thing, I think, since the numbers came out, was Oregon to make the playoff. It's in the 200s now. I still think it's worth it. They're as deep. He's recruited a great job. I think Dylan Gabriel is a more trustworthy quarterback than Bo Nix, and that's a very quarterback-friendly system. And I think Gabriel will be fantastic. They also have more of the transfer from UCLA behind him, so you have quarterback depth. But I think the schedule is all right. Again, look at the winning the Big Ten or going to the playoff more than the season win total, just in case something happens funky.
They'll be double-digit favorites in 10 of those games. But the 2 they won't be are Ohio State, where they're laying 1.5. And then you got 3-point spread roughly against Michigan. They should be able to take out Michigan. But if you lose to Ohio State and then you lose somewhere else, remember, first time into the Big Ten, this is going to be a lot more physical than they're used to in the Pac-12.
They got the bodies, though.
Could be something. Tyler, this guy, already in midseason form. Can you believe it?